So just want to get your thoughts on this breaking news this morning involving Facebook removing all of its news content. What's your reaction to that?
Well, clearly Facebook is trying to bully the Australian Parliament into only approving laws that it approves of. And no one elected Facebook. They're an overseas-based company. They're not Australian. And there is no way that, in my view, the Australian Parliament should be in any way threatened or pushed around by a multinational overseas-based company. So I am confident we will push forward with these laws. And I encourage all Australians to look for alternatives. If Facebook's going to treat Australians like this and try and bully and threaten us, go to other places like Twitter or Parler's back online this week. Go to places that actually let Australians talk.
Do you reckon this is just a bluff, Senator? I mean, Google tried this and then walked it back. Is Facebook, stealing some of Google's playbook here?
Well, I probably wouldn't describe just like this. What I think it is, Facebook's trying to make an example of us. They're not really worried about Australian laws so much. What they're really worried about is if this works in Australia, it'll come in the US, in Canada, in India, in Europe, and suddenly they've actually had to pay proper rates for the content they've been using right around the world. So that's what's happening here. But I don't think we should buckle to this kind of bullying and threatening behaviour, which it clearly is. Good luck to Facebook, but maybe it's about time that some high tech Australians create their own social media platform. Let's do that. Let's create an Australian Facebook and have Australians flock to that, because I don't really like the idea that our communication is being controlled by a company based overseas. We all love America, a great country. But I don't really want Americans in charge of what Australians can or can't say. OK,
moving on to CEFC. You want to remove Section 62. Why?
Well, I think we should try and use all our natural resources to create jobs and lower emissions in this country. And my National Senate colleagues believe the same. So that's why we're announcing today that the Nationals in the Senate will seek to abolish and remove this section, which prohibits certain technologies from the Clean Energy Finance Corporation investing in. The Clean Energy Finance Corporation was created in a dirty deal by Bob Brown and Julia Gillard, and it's time to clean it up. In that dirty deal, because it was created by Bob Brown, he banned nuclear technologies, he banned carbon capture and storage, he banned the use of clean coal, high-efficiency, low-emission technologies. And we just think, well, why don't we just use all ways to lower our emissions? Why would we handicap ourselves in any way when we have the world's largest uranium reserves, the most highest quality coal in the world? And if the Greens are really serious, if it's really serious that we've only got 5 or 10 years or something left before the planet blows up, why wouldn't they be seeking to pull out all stops and use all technologies to achieve that? Because if they're not, maybe they've got a different motive than really being concerned about climate change.
So it's the old argument about nuclear, though. It's unpopular in huge sections of the community. No one would want to live near one. What do you do with the waste?
I don't agree with you on no one. Obviously, this is a challenge and has been a challenge within Australian politics for many decades. But I think it's important that myself and obviously my Nationals colleagues, that we stand up for what we think is right and argue our case and try and convince the Australian people about why this is needed. Nuclear is, of course, a technology used in almost every developed country in the world. I think it's only really ourselves and New Zealand that don't use this technology in some way. France, of course, gets about 80% of its power from nuclear and has for decades. And we do actually have a nuclear reactor in this country. It's housed 30 kilometres from our nation's biggest CBD in Sydney at Lucas Heights and been operated safely for over 50 years. Now, in terms of the waste, yes, that's also a challenge. Again, I don't believe there's the idea that no one wants to be near this stuff.
Would you be happy living near one?
Absolutely. I'd love to have one at Gladstone. I think that'd be a great place for it. Gladstone, just down the road from me. I wouldn't have a problem being where I live in Rocky, but I think Gladstone would be a great location because it's near water, it's got industry. I know the local member there supports it, Ken O'Dowd, he's a big champion of it. We could create jobs and bring back manufacturing to central Queensland. I think that would be great. Along with a new coal-fired power station there too. Let's do it all. Yeah. But on the waste issue, we had a vote when I was Resources Minister of a country town in South Australia, and they voted 60% in favour of building a waste facility, admittedly for low and medium level waste from Lucas Heights, but still significant support.
The problem is time, though. I mean, even if you did go down that that path of nuclear and it was accepted by the community, I mean, it would take 10 to 15 years to get underway. And then you've got to get regulatory agencies involved. I mean, we're not talking about something that can be done quickly here.
Well, that's why I always like to quote the wisdom of the Chinese proverb that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago and the next best time is today. So, yes, it would take time, but that's no reason, or even more reason not to delay and get on with this, because I think it's something we might need in the future. It's also the case why we think we're not just saying get rid of the ban on nuclear. We're saying, look, why are we stopping us building low emission clean coal-fired power stations? That could be done much more quickly. Let's get on with that. And this is the excuse we've heard for years. 5 years ago when we were first facing blackouts and eventually a blackout of a whole state in South Australia, constantly said, oh, well, we can't build coal because it'll take 3 years. We can't build nuclear because it will take 10 years. Well, that was 4 or 5 years ago now, and we've done nothing. So let's get on with it.
Geez, you're picking some battles at the moment, Senator. Coal, it's not going to get too far with the government. Nuclear, here's another one.
Don't die wondering. Don't die wondering is my slogan. So let's, I try and do best to progress the nation and fight for the people that I represent and getting a lot of support in our policy. And if people support, getting rid of this, call up your local MP. And today it's how you support the Nats in the Senate. You want to get rid of Section 62 and you want to see us adopt the world's best technologies for our world-beating resources.
Senator Matt Canavan, good to chat. We'll talk to you again soon.
No worries. Thanks, mate.